Have you ever felt like no matter how much you save, invest, or plan, the system still keeps you one step behind? Like the rules were made for someone else, and you were never given the real playbook? Well, you're not wrong. The traditional financial system was built to benefit a select few, while everyone else works harder just to stay afloat. But here's the truth. The wealthy know and use every day. They don't play by the same rules. They create their own. And so can you. Today, you're about to learn how to break free from the cycle of earning, saving, and hoping. You're going to see exactly how to use other people's money, assets, and the tax code legally to create real wealth. This isn't theory. This is the exact method used by the wealthy all around the world. And by understanding it, you can start building your own path to financial freedom. At The Passive Path, we believe anyone can create a life of wealth, stability, and independence once they see the real game being played behind the scenes. If you're ready to escape the traditional trap and start your journey towards true passive income, make sure to like this video, subscribe to The Passive Path, and leave a comment below telling us where you are on your wealth journey. Now, let's dive into why saving your money might be the worst financial advice you've ever been given. Everywhere you go, the financial system works almost identically. People work for a paycheck. They deposit that paycheck into a bank. Then they might buy insurance, contribute to a pension, or maybe invest through a retirement account. At first glance, it seems logical, responsible even. But underneath, a different story unfolds. Your hard-earned money doesn't just sit safely in a vault. It gets put to work. Just not for you. The banks, insurance companies, and pension funds take that money and lend it out to businesses, to investors, and to governments. Your dollars fuel mortgages, auto loans, business expansions, and real estate developments. Yet you, the original source of the funds, get a fraction of the profits, if anything at all. Banks typically pay you less than 1% interest while lending your money out at rates that are 3, 4, or even 5 times higher. Pension funds and insurance companies invest your contributions but still charge layers of fees, reducing your real returns year after year. Meanwhile, inflation quietly eats away at whatever scraps are left. At The Passive Path, we believe you deserve better than being a silent funder of other people's fortunes. Imagine if you could flip the script, becoming the one who leverages the system instead of being leveraged by it. What if there was a way to take control, to position yourself on the winning side of the equation, using the exact same tools the banks, the wealthy, and the big institutions have been using for decades? Keep watching, because that's exactly what you're about to learn. 3. The role of banks, how your money is really used. When you deposit money into a bank, it shows up as an asset on your personal balance sheet. But to the bank, it's a liability, something they owe you. Their job is to get that money back out the door as quickly as possible in the form of loans, generating a much higher return for themselves. Here's how it works. Thanks to the fractional reserve banking system, banks are allowed to lend out a multiple of the money they hold. If you deposit $1, the bank might lend out $9 or $10, multiplying your contribution into massive profits, but keeping almost all of the upside for themselves. For example, let's say you deposit $1,000 into a savings account. The bank pays you 0.5% annual interest, $5 for the entire year. Meanwhile, they lend out $9,000 based on your deposit at 4% interest, collecting $360 over the same period. They pocket the difference, and you barely beat inflation, if at all. As you drive through any major city and see gleaming towers with bank names etched into the skyline, remember this: those skyscrapers were built not by saving money, but by lending yours. At The Passive Path, we want to show you how to graduate from being a depositor to being an investor, where you earn the real returns, not just the crumbs left over. Now that you see how the system really works, the question becomes, how can you leverage it for your benefit instead of being trapped by it? The answer lies in understanding other people's money. 4 OPM, other people's money, the wealthy's secret weapon. Other people's money, or OPM, is the cornerstone of how wealth is built at scale. It's not about how much money you have. It's about how well you can control, deploy, and multiply resources, even if those resources don't belong to you initially. When banks lend money to investors, they are practicing OPM at scale. When real estate developers raise capital for apartment complexes, they are using OPM. When entrepreneurs take on investors to launch businesses, that's OPM in action. Here's the key. Good debt is not a burden, it's a lever. Used wisely, it allows you to build assets that generate cash flow, appreciate over time, and provide tax benefits, all without needing millions in the bank to start. Imagine buying a $100,000 rental property. You put down $20,000 and borrow the remaining $80,000. The rental income covers the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and still leaves you a monthly profit. Over time, the tenant pays down the loan, the property appreciates, and your equity grows, all because you leveraged OPM. At the Passive Path, we teach that smart leverage is the accelerator pedal for wealth. You don't have to wait until you're rich to start using it. You just need to understand the principles, and you're already taking your first step today. Coming up next, we'll break down exactly how to tell the difference between good debt and bad debt, so you never fall into the traps that destroy financial futures. Debt is often painted with a broad brush of fear. We're taught from an early age that debt is dangerous, reckless, and something to be avoided at all costs. But not all debt is created equal. The wealthy have always understood this distinction. They know there's bad debt that drains you and good debt that builds you. Bad debt is debt you take on to buy things that lose value and generate no income. Think credit cards maxed out on consumer goods, expensive cars you can't afford, or vacations that are paid for with borrowed money. These debts pull you deeper into financial chains, draining your future earnings. Good debt, on the other hand, is strategic. It's used to acquire assets that produce more money than the cost of the debt itself. Imagine borrowing at 4% to buy a rental property that yields 8% in annual returns. Not only are you covering your debt payments, but you're also building cash flow and long-term wealth. Let's say you have $10,000 saved. You could use it as a down payment on a $50,000 rental property in a growing market like Indianapolis. That single property could generate $400 a month in net income after expenses and debt payments. In a year, you'd pocket nearly $5,000, almost half of your original investment, while your tenants pay down the mortgage, and the property itself potentially increases in value. At the Passive Path, we teach that the difference between financial stress and financial success is understanding how to make debt work for you instead of against you. It's not about avoiding debt, it's about mastering it. Coming up next, discover why real estate is one of the most powerful wealth-building machines ever created, and how it can pay you month after month while slashing your taxes at the same time. Proceeding to the next part. Real estate is one of the few investments that can consistently generate cash flow, appreciate over time, and provide massive tax advantages. It's no wonder that throughout history, the majority of self-made millionaires have built their fortunes on property. When you invest in rental real estate, you create a stream of passive income that keeps flowing whether you're working or not. Each tenant payment reduces your debt, covers your expenses, and leaves profit in your pocket. Unlike a savings account earning a fraction of a percent, real estate cash flow compounds over time, especially as rents rise and loans are paid down. But the magic of real estate doesn't stop there. There's a hidden weapon called depreciation. Depreciation allows you to deduct a portion of the property's value from your income every year, even as the property potentially increases in market value. This means you could be pocketing thousands in cash flow while reporting a paper loss on your taxes. Imagine buying a $30 million apartment complex. After accounting for land value, you're allowed to depreciate about $27.5 million over 27 and a half years. That's roughly $1 million in annual depreciation. If that property generates $700,000 in cash flow, thanks to the depreciation, you might still legally report a $300,000 loss on paper, avoiding taxes on the real income you've earned. At the Passive Path, we believe real estate is not just a place to live. It's a vehicle to freedom. It generates wealth, shields you from taxes, and creates a life where you're no longer trading time for money. Coming up next, you'll learn how to unlock even more wealth by forcing your properties to become more valuable without relying on the market at all. One of the biggest myths in real estate is that you have to wait for the market to rise to make money. But the smartest investors don't wait. They create value themselves. This strategy is called value-add investing. Instead of gambling on market appreciation, you buy properties with room for improvement. Then you make smart, targeted upgrades that allow you to raise rents, reduce vacancies, and increase the net operating income. That new income stream boosts the property's value, often dramatically. Imagine buying a 200-unit apartment complex that hasn't been updated in years. The units are clean but outdated. The laundry rooms are old and inconvenient. By installing washer and dryer units directly into apartments, upgrading kitchens and bathrooms, and adding amenities like a dog park or better landscaping, you can charge higher rents without pricing tenants out. Even small improvements add up fast. If you raise rents by just $100 a month across 200 units, that's an extra $20,000 a month, or $240,000 a year. In real estate valuation, income is everything. That boost in net operating income could increase the property's value by millions. At the Passive Path, we teach you how to force appreciation with simple strategic moves that don't require luck, just knowledge and execution. Coming up next, we'll reveal how to tap into that newfound wealth without ever selling your property, and why that strategy can lead to infinite returns. After increasing a property's income and boosting its value, the next step is powerful: cash-out refinancing. This strategy lets you unlock the wealth you've built without ever selling the property. It's how investors continue to grow their portfolios while keeping their best-performing assets. Here's how it works. Suppose you bought an apartment complex for $19 million using $4 million of investor money and $15 million in bank financing. After improving the property and raising its income, the bank reassesses the value, and now it's worth $25 million. You go back to the bank, refinance the loan, and they lend you $20 million. With that refinance, you pay back the original $15 million loan, return the $4 million to your investors, and still walk away with $1 million in cash, all without selling the property. Better yet, the property continues producing cash flow month after month, and you still enjoy tax benefits like depreciation. This is called achieving an infinite return. Your original investment is out of the deal, your risk is essentially eliminated, yet you continue to earn income and build equity over time. At the Passive Path, we believe that financial freedom isn't just about making money. It's about creating systems where your wealth grows even when you're not actively working for it. For generations, people were taught that saving money was the key to financial security. But in today's world, that advice is dangerously outdated. Inflation quietly eats away at the value of your savings every single year, while banks offer interest rates that don't even come close to keeping up. Imagine saving $10,000 in a bank account that earns 1% interest. After a year, you have $10,100. But if inflation is running at 6%, your purchasing power has actually dropped by nearly $500. Meanwhile, the wealthy never rely on traditional savings accounts to grow their money. They put their capital into cash-flowing assets like real estate, businesses, and commodities, assets that not only protect against inflation, but often thrive because of it. At the passive path, we understand that real security doesn't come from hoarding cash. It comes from building streams of income that grow faster than inflation and using smart debt to leverage wealth over time. Coming up next, you'll learn how the tax system is designed to reward investors and entrepreneurs, and how you can start paying less to the government while keeping more for yourself. Taxes are the single biggest expense most people will ever face, yet few take the time to understand how to legally reduce them. The truth is, the tax code isn't designed to punish you. It's designed to reward certain behaviors, if you know how to read it. The government needs housing, jobs, energy, food, and innovation. To encourage people to provide these essentials, they offer powerful tax incentives. A simple way to look at it is through the cash flow quadrant. Employees pay the most in taxes, sometimes up to 40% of their income. Self-employed individuals pay even more when you factor in self-employment taxes. But business owners and investors, those who create jobs and build assets, pay far less, often 20% or even 0% in some cases. When you invest in assets like rental properties, you not only earn cash flow, but also unlock deductions like mortgage interest, property taxes, repairs, and depreciation. These deductions can legally reduce or even eliminate your taxable income. At the passive path, we know that understanding the tax code isn't about cheating the system. It's about aligning with what the government already wants you to do. When you play the right role, the rewards are massive. Next, you'll discover why trusting the asset is the real key to overcoming fear, and why mastering this one principle will change the way you invest forever. Proceeding to the next part. Fear of debt holds many people back from achieving financial freedom. But the truth is, the problem isn't debt itself, it's a lack of confidence in the asset you're buying. If you borrow money to buy an asset you don't fully understand, of course you'll be afraid. But when you invest in something you know will produce reliable cash flow, that fear disappears. Debt becomes a tool, not a trap. Professional investors spend their time studying assets, not just chasing returns. They know the neighborhoods they buy property in. They understand the businesses they invest in. They trust their investments because they did the work beforehand. Imagine knowing with high confidence that your apartment building would generate a steady 6% return, while your fixed-rate loan only costs you 4%. Every month you're earning, building equity, and growing your wealth with no surprises. At the passive path, we believe that education is the antidote to fear. The more you understand an asset, the more control you have over your financial future. Debt doesn't have to be scary. Ignorance is what's truly dangerous. Every journey to wealth comes with challenges, but some mistakes are entirely avoidable with the right mindset and preparation. One of the most common mistakes is fearing all debt without understanding the difference between good and bad debt. Avoiding all leverage limits your growth and forces you to rely solely on savings, which is a slow and often losing game. Another mistake is chasing hot trends without doing real research. Jumping into the latest stock, cryptocurrency, or fad investment based on hype rather than fundamentals is gambling, not investing. True wealth is built on cash flow and value, not speculation. Ignoring cash flow in favor of chasing capital gains is another trap. Many people focus solely on appreciation, hoping to buy low and sell high. But true financial security comes from assets that put money in your pocket month after month, regardless of what the market is doing. At the passive path, we teach you to focus on buying reliable cash-flowing assets. At the passive path, we teach you to focus on buying reliable cash-flowing assets using smart leverage and aligning your strategy with long-term wealth building. By avoiding these common mistakes, you can move faster, take fewer risks, and build a foundation that lasts a lifetime. Coming up next, we'll show you exactly how you can start building wealth even if you don't have a large amount of money to begin with. Starting your journey to wealth doesn't require millions of dollars. It requires education, a clear plan, and a willingness to take smart, calculated action. If you have limited capital, focus first on learning. Invest in books, courses, and mentors who can teach you the principles of asset building. Knowledge compounds faster than money, and once you understand the game, opportunities will begin to appear everywhere. Next, start small but strategic. House hacking is a powerful method. Buy a duplex or triplex, live in one unit, and rent out the others. Your tenants can cover your mortgage while you build equity and gain hands-on experience managing property. Another option is partnering with others. Pool resources with friends or family to buy a rental property or invest in small businesses. Many great fortunes were built by partnerships that combine talents and resources. Real estate investment trusts, or REITs, can also be an accessible starting point. They allow you to invest in real estate passively with small amounts of capital. At the Passive Path, we believe that it's not about how much you start with, it's about how smart you start. Every step taken with knowledge and intention multiplies your future opportunities. Next, we'll bring everything together and show you the simple formula for financial freedom. The formula that anyone, anywhere can follow to build lasting wealth. Proceeding to the next part. The journey to true financial freedom is not reserved for a lucky few. It's available to anyone willing to learn the rules, master the game, and take consistent action. First, understand the system. Recognize that banks, governments, and institutions use your money to create their own wealth, and learn how to position yourself on the winning side. Second, leverage good debt to acquire cash-flowing assets. By following the passive path, you can build lasting financial freedom. Use other people's money wisely, not recklessly, and focus on buying investments that put money in your pocket every single month. Third, protect and multiply your wealth with the power of tax laws. Align yourself with what the government incentivizes: housing, energy, agriculture, and business, and legally reduce your tax burden while building your net worth. Fourth, trust in the asset. Educate yourself until fear is replaced by confidence. Understand what you're investing in so deeply that you welcome leverage, knowing that the income will cover the debt and build your future. At the Passive Path, we are committed to helping you break free from the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle, build true financial security, and create a life filled with freedom, choices, and opportunities. If you found value in this journey today, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the Passive Path, and leave a comment sharing your biggest takeaway. Share this with a friend or family member who needs to hear this message. Your future is not determined by your past. It's determined by the actions you take today. Start building your passive path now and let your wealth work harder for you than you ever worked for it.